Welcome to the Conscious Living Podcast, conversations to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. An uplifting and inspiring series of conversations and talks with your host, Jackie Woodside. We are educating minds, empowering lives, and enlightening souls to create a world where love prevails. In this engaging podcast, we deliver exciting, positive, transformative talks and teachings designed to elevate your life. Now, let's join our host, Jackie Woodside, for this week's session.
Hi there, Jackie Woodside here. Gosh, I am so glad that you're with us this week for another episode of the Conscious Living Podcast, where we are here to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. Just take that in for a minute, right? Educate yourself. Aren't you committed to being a lifelong learner? There's so much out there. Gosh, not even just in terms of technology and how rapidly science is changing, but there's so much to learn about ourselves. There's so much to learn about life, about God, about consciousness. I just am endlessly entertained with education. So educate and then empower. Are you feeling empowered today? Just stop, take a breath. Do I feel empowered to be living my values, to be living true, to bring forth my highest sense of self in everything I do and say? And then lastly, enlighten. I want to enlighten our world. I want to create a world where love prevails. And thank you for being one of those people that wants to do that with me. And oh boy, do I have a treat for you today. I was so looking forward to this from last week until this week, and now it's finally time. I'm going to be bringing to the Conscious Living podcast today someone who I admire, who is a friend, who is a colleague, and who is just creating such extraordinary work in the world through her ministry at Agape Ministries in Los Angeles. Reverend Julie Moret works at Agape Ministries with Reverend Michael Beckwith. She is an author, a teacher. She's starting a new class. Julie, what's the name of your new class that's coming up?
It's called The Frequency Factor. Ignite your purpose by vibrating at the level of your dreams.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The frequency
Yes.
factor. I mean, that's one of the things that we both share in common. So she's the author of the book, What's Your What? What's Your What? How to Ignite Your Unique Brand. She is an inspirational teacher and author. She holds degrees in a wide range of healing modalities, including neuro-emotional techniques, psychology, neurolinguistic programming, Qigong. So I'm just so incredibly happy to have you here on the show with me, Julie. I'm so glad to get to spend time with you. So thank you for being my guest and my friend, but for my guest.
My absolute honor. I got so happy when you popped into the Agape International Spiritual Center a few weeks back. I was like, Jackie's here. It was great.
It was just such a delight. Yeah, same thing here. Like my heart jumped when I saw you. I was so hoping that we were going to get to connect. It was lovely, lovely to be with you and to see you there. So thank you for that. And that was me traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast to get to see you for a brief minute. But I know you've been traveling a lot lately, and I think your travels are really inspiring. So I know there's so much we could talk about today, but there's a couple things in particular that I'm interested in. I'll throw them out at you and you can decide where it feels best to dive in. I
Okay.
know in the last couple of months you took a trip where you climbed Mount Everest, which I mean, that is an awe-inspiring accomplishment and adventure. So I would love to hear the backstory of that, why you decided to do it, how you trained for it, who you went with, and what you learned, what your takeaways were from climbing Mount Everest. But gosh, you do so much. I also am present to the fact that you're doing work with Martin Luther King's organization, with his, was it grandson, Martin Luther King the third?
Son,
His
Martin Luther
son.
King III, his
Third.
son, his
Okay.
wife, and his daughter.
Yeah, and you're just back from an event in Selma. So, gosh, so much. And then I always want to talk to you about your upcoming class and about your ministry and just about life in general. So, maybe let's start with the Everest thing. Or no, let's start with Selma. Let's start with the one that's most recent to you. So you just came back from a trip to Selma. We're living in such interesting times, Julie, where we are called to really be the truth of what you and I both teach and espouse as new thought leaders. You're a minister. I'm not. I'm just a teacher, a spiritual teacher. But let's talk a little bit about what brought you to Selma and what your experience was there.
So I speak a lot about frequency and our energetic frequency. Everything that exists from the desk, the screen, everything has a vibration to it. Frequency is the rate at which we vibrate.
Yeah.
And when we raise our energetic frequency, we become magnets for people, places, circumstances, and events oscillating at that frequency. And so I have been like me going to Selma with Martin Luther King III is an absolute demonstration of frequency and action. And um, I started noticing kind of a recipe when I would experience something. I'm going to get there, but I want to like share why this is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
compelling to me.
Yeah.
In my early 20s, I had something that I refer to as the witch years, where I felt like I was a witch because anytime I saw something that really touched my passion, I would naturally be like obsessing over it, think about it, think about it, think about it. And then in very unique, compelling ways, I would meet the person responsible. So during that time, I met dozens of A-list actors. I met a president. I was invited to 2 black tie dinners at the United Nations. It was like a Forrest Gump experience where it was me, all world leaders, and then like little Julie. Like, and all of that was
Wow.
because it was this formula. It's thought plus emotion equals creation.
Yeah.
When you have a thought about something and it's loaded, thought, feeling tone is the secret sauce, it's creative. That's the good news, bad news, because it's objective. So it's not just the good stuff, it's all the other stuff too, wherever we direct our thoughts. So, with respect to Dr. King and his legacy, when I was a teenager, I used to sleep with a picture of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. under my pillow. I was
Wow.
not raised with his teachings. I don't know why. It was just resonance. And resonance is a word that I'm really into these days. And I want to invite whoever's listening to think about what are the qualities that you most resonate with. Freedom's a big one for me. So I
Mhm.
used to sleep with a photo of Dr. King under my pillow. There's a really cute story. It's in my book about how I met my husband. And um, long story short, he ended up meeting me in a cemetery in the middle of the night where I was watching authentic footage of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He had invited me to go to a date to a party. I said I wasn't available. Some way, somehow, he figured out where I was and he showed up. But this Dr. King like theme has been throughout my life. And so I was speaking at the Agape International Spiritual Center in Beverly Hills. It's founded and directed by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. And we stream to over 180 countries and territories. It's a vast stream. So a lot of times people are seeing me and I have no idea. And one day I got a phone call from the offices at Agape saying that the Kings had seen me in a talk and they wanted to be in touch.
Wow.
That's all frequency. I
Yeah.
wasn't efforting, I wasn't going, I knew nothing about them,
Right.
right? And it's turned into this beautiful friendship. They're like family. I travel with them quite a bit. I just got back from staying with them in Atlanta, which is super sweet because that's where I was born. And where
Oh,
they live is like right down the block from where I was born. So that's
wow.
wild. And so that thing, and I'll get back to whatever, as you're whoever's listening right in this moment, what is the quality that you most that like supercharges you? Freedom is a big one for me. And so the fact that now I get to go and be in that house where there are original writings from Frederick Douglass, from Reverend
Wow.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., like mind blowing. So we were gathering in Atlanta to honor the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday that occurred in Selma, Alabama. You've seen the pictures when Dr. King was leading folks across the bridge. I don't even want to say the name of the bridge. Can you believe it is still named after a Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon? Like,
It's,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we started off in Atlanta. We headed over to Selma. We drove to Selma, and the city closed down the bridge for about an hour, and we had this opportunity. And um, it's kind of hard to wrap my brain around that. And then, of course, the questions are like, would I have been that brave? You know, when he sent out the request for religious leaders all across the country, would I have shown up? I'd like
Yeah.
to think I would, but boy, the things that they faced. And then Martin Luther King III, Dr. King's son, he was on the bridge and he was talking to us and he said, and by the way, what about all the bodies that ended up in that river? Like people were just discarded. And so I'm coming to you in a moment of being so stirred right now. Like I got in at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm
Oh,
like
wow.
on fumes
You
here. But
really
I'm
just
grateful.
got
I'm really
in.
grateful because this is so like urgent in my soul, you know? And then we went over to the it's the National Memorial for Peace and Justice.
Okay.
And um I just saw things and felt things, and it'll take me a while to process. So that's like what I'm coming in with. I'm so full, and the way that I operate is um, I'll need to take some time and get into nature and kind of write and journal and take the thoughts that I'm having about what I just experienced and the very strong feelings that I'm having.
Yeah.
And then it becomes creative. It goes into talks and articles, and that's the process.
So beautiful.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're able to talk about it. What did you see and experience? And what was the name of where you went? The National, say it
It's the
again?
National Museum of Peace and Justice.
National, oh, I've been there. A National
Have
Museum.
you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's,
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's a place that highlights all the people that are in the United States that have been lynched. And it's it's just sort of it's very present with me right now, you
yeah,
know, and what's ours to do right now. Like, okay, so we have this enormous history, and what is ours to be in the world right now. And I feel very fired up by that.
yeah. Well, and especially right now, where our Supreme Court of this country just allowed for the reinstitution of the Alien Act, or allowing people to be picked up out of their homes or off the street and sent to
Right.
different countries. 90% of the men who were deported or captured do not have criminal histories. And yeah, so here we are, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right. And so I what I go for is because I could if I could spin in like the hopelessness, you know, the feeling of hopelessness, but instead where I am with it is all right, who am I called to be in this moment? What is mine to do? Because sometimes I want to fix everything. I want to like, but then I'm spinning in circles because there's so many areas of need from
yeah,
Mother Earth to civil liberties. Like there's so much, right?
yeah,
So the work that I focus on is getting really clear about um, what is like the heart's desire. Joel S. Goldsmith referred to it as what's your world work? What's that thing? Because we all come in with a spark, with a thing, and it's our piece in this giant jigsaw puzzle. So if
yeah,
everybody does their piece,
yeah,
then I think everything is possible,
yeah, yeah.
right?
I call
So
that your
I,
soul print, by the way, that spark that we all come in with. I
mhm.
say we all come in with a soul print.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm very invested in supporting myself and the people that I work with and really clarifying what is that thing? Because it's like I start with, you know, what's your goal? What's your dream? What do you want so much? And then I ask, what is, and I'm inviting those listening right now, when you think of what it is that you want so much, you're so ready to bring into your life. What is the quality? I call them qualities of God or nature or higher consciousness or love. What is the quality that you feel you will receive by getting the thing that you want, right? So I like to spin off of qualities.
Exactly.
And then once you find out what is that quality, love, abundance, prosperity, union, connection, peace, justice, freedom, like all the things, once you figure out what the quality is, then I love all the practices. I like to rig my environment so I'm self-inspiring so that the things that remind me of that quality are all around me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that helps me from, you know, just curling up in a ball on the floor.
Yeah, right. It beats curling up in a ball on a floor. So
Right.
from that quality, from that inspired quality of who you came here to be, is yours freedom? Is that the inspired quality that gives you life?
So that's a big one. Freedom's really big for me. And inspiration, I think, is the guiding one. And there's some cute things. There's some exercises that you can do to help get clear about what your quality is, because people have seen it in us. from our earliest years. Like I remember in my baby book, my grandmother, who I never thought like she didn't understand me, in my baby book, the inscription she wrote was something that harkens back to inspiration. And
Wow.
so I love getting like all the old cards and emails and or you could just send out a message to a bunch of your friends and say, tell me three adjectives, the positive adjectives that you would use to describe me. And then I put them all in categories and we will see that we have been seen. And so then it helps me take ownership of it. Like, okay, I really am here to be a source of inspiration, you
Yeah.
know? And then and then that bolsters my confidence
Yeah.
when I work in that way.
I love that. So I just want to reaffirm what you're saying is it's so much the heart of what I teach also in my Living in the Domain of Miracles program, that we've all come into this incarnation with an energetic frequency that is ours to bring forth. And
Yes.
what makes the world work? I love the way you said that. What if everybody is, living that quality, their soul print? What makes life work is for people to be deeply engaged in the fulfillment of that quality or in the fulfillment of that soul print that you've come into this life for. And I want to go just a little bit further with it, Julie, because I think people maybe newer on the spiritual path think that means there's something to do or something even worse, something to acquire. Well, that means I must have that relationship or that house, overlooking the ocean. Or it's not that. It's what quality is that going to elicit in you? Having the house on the cliff overlooking the ocean. Is it sense of peace? Is it sharing that with other people and creating community? So I just actually gave a talk at my Unity Church on Sunday on the notion of desire
Mm.
and being able to distill your desire down to the one. And that's kind of what you're talking about. Um, I heard a talk by Sai Ma once. She's a spiritual teacher. And she just said this very simple but profound thing. I want to know God more than anything. Isn't that powerful? It
Yes.
really, really struck me. I mean, imagine, right, Julie, if you went out in Beverly Hills or I went out here in Boston and we pulled 100 people off the street and we said, what do you want more than anything?
Right.
Right? The consciousness of our world is not likely that you're going to hear, well, I want to know God more than anything.
Hmm.
So I've devoted my life to that. My one desire is to know God more than anything, to know myself as my God self, my highest expression, my highest vibration, and to be, do, and experience that everywhere, even in my weaker moments, to.
You know what? I want to say something about that. I just want to acknowledge all of us that are here because we are part of a tribe. You
Yeah,
know, I came into this world questing. I want to know God. I want to have that swoon with spirit. And I think for people to be tuning in to the Conscious Living podcast, it's like I just feel so much relief and gratitude that we have a place to go because I didn't realize not everybody is like that, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's not a judgment, good or bad. Some people just don't have that thing. They're here for other things.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Well, I
very
think
grateful for all of us right now.
yeah, thank you, Julie, for pointing
Thank
that
you.
out. And yeah, I think it depends on the incarnation that they came in with. Not everybody, those lucky people that came in here to just ride the rides, right?
Yeah.
People like you and me and the listeners here, we're here to work the rides.
Yes.
We're working it. We're working our consciousness. We're working our life purpose. We're working our self-expression. And that's, to me, that's a joy, even though we use the word work. I mean, this I say in my programs, that our sessions are recess
Uh-huh.
and the in between, because that's where you get to, play,
Oh, I love that.
be with other people. Yeah, I know you're starting an important course tonight, tomorrow,
Yes. Yes.
whatever. You can borrow that. Our sessions are recess. It's what we do for
Mhm.
play. And it's what we do in between that we get to bring back to recess, almost like our show and tell. Like, this is what we do for fun, is to develop ourselves as people that are constantly seeking to grow in consciousness and to raise our frequency, raise our vibration. That's what
Yes.
I'm all about. That's what I'm here for.
And what I've noticed is that when I do that, because I came up with like motivational coaching and like go get what you want and
Yeah.
that whole kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And where I am in my life and my growth right now is more aligning with and resonating with the quality that I desire. And what I find is that that frequency of aligning with what it is that I most desire, the quality that I most desire, it's attractive. It attracts to me divine right people, places, circumstances, and events. So when I think about the last handful of years, I think even since we last connected doing your wonderful podcast, I was invited to speak in South Korea, like
Wow.
extraordinary. I went with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith to South Korea and spoke. They had a building with a banner of us, the
Ah!
full length of the building outside on the
Oh,
street.
Julie, that's
And
so great.
yeah, and I spoke at I taught at Rhythmia in Costa Rica for 3 weeks, and I've had all these like and even and Mount Everest. I've had all of these experiences, and they came about from alignment, from resonating. I haven't pursued a single thing, like I just am practicing cultivating my consciousness, and I am on it and at it every single day, cultivating my consciousness. What does that look like? And I would invite those listening right now to just notice, what is it that works for you? Like when you get the most juicy, compelling inspiration. For me, it's nature, walks in nature. I have to like have a phone so I can record thoughts because I get so like they gush in like great phrases and words and things like that. Being in nature. When I sit to meditate, I always have to factor in like the first 20 minutes of just offloading, just all the thoughts and the inspirations that come. And so I really love the idea of taking a moment. We're here for the Conscious Living podcast. What works for you to up level your own consciousness, to be in touch? Is your thing meditation or being in the gym? My husband goes to the gym and he gets like the best ideas.
Oh, wow.
And so it's I really like the idea of becoming your own um, like instructor, figuring out what it is that works for you to become self-inspiring. And also, as I mentioned, rigging our environment. There was, I remember when I was growing up, there was a kind of, we had a boat and we would go out on the water and it was like early morning and there was a certain watercolory sky. And I would sit on the front of the boat and my hair would be whipping in the wind and I felt beautiful and free. And then over the years, like when I did the trainer's training for neurolinguistic programming, I was driving from LA down to Irvine twice a day, every day, at dusk and dawn, same watercolory thing. So now I have an image in my office with that skyline. And every time I see it, I am gushed with the feelings of freedom and success and like victory. And those are the kinds of little things that we can really rig our environment with so that it pays us silent dividends of inspiration.
Absolutely. I love that. I live in a waterfront home. I have two
I
other
know you do. I love it when you post.
I know. Thank you. I have two others in upstate New York. So my summer home. So I have my home here in Massachusetts, and then two summer homes, a cottage and a guest cottage in the Thousand Islands of upstate New York. So I've cultivated my consciousness through attraction and alignment and vibration to go from homeless, literally homeless after a domestic violence situation, to now living between these two beautiful waterfront homes. And because of exactly what you said, surround yourself, kind of trick yourself into this higher consciousness. We name our homes. We call this one here Soul Haven,
I
and the
love
one
it.
on the St. Lawrence River, we call it River Haven. So we have Soul Haven and River Haven, and I teach this in all of my programs, really cultivating our physical environment in a way that nurtures the soul. That's why I call my home Soul Haven. So I want to say there is nothing, this probably isn't 100% true, but I want to say there is nothing in my physical environment that doesn't reflect the vibration of who I am, what I value, what I love, and what I came here to be. Now, I say it's probably not 100% true because there's like a one bookcase downstairs in the storage room that,
I'm going with it. I'm
I
with you.
know, right? Right. But you get the concept. And then there is my son, my 20-year-old son's bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
If I close the door to that, the statement becomes more true. But my point is, and I think you resonate with this, Julie, of being, you know, what do I teach? Conscious living, being intentional about the environment that you create, being intentional about the relationships and the people that you spend time with and where and how you spend your time. Julie, I love how clear you are. Being in nature is my thing. That's where
Yeah.
I get my downloads. That's where I get fed. Your husband, it's going to the gym. Having those sacred places that lift your vibration. Really, that's what we're talking about, being in these sacred places that lift your vibration and being conscious about putting yourself there.
Yeah. And then there's the discipline aspect. It's like, then you do it even when you don't wanna.
And you,
Then you get your butt to the mat, that kind of thing. Like that's I go through different phases where I work with an accountability buddy. And we would text each other the night before and say, all right, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna do
yeah,
this, like whatever it was. And then the next day we'd say if we did it, if we didn't, like, and just whatever it works to stay on the path because it's very easy to waffle. We have a life and a world that's very diluting and distracting. So Mel Robbins talks about the 5 second rule. Like, as soon as you have the thought, you go do it. And so I've really been focusing on that more and more in my life, of even when I don't want to like get to the spiritual mat.
yeah, you used the word discipline, and I do appreciate that. The word I like to use, I don't know, maybe it just makes me feel better, is commitment. Like,
Hmm.
what do you, and really, Julie, that's what is what you're saying. What you are committed to is creating a life, living in a consciousness that is the frequency of alignment of who you are, who you came here to be. You are committed to living your soul print, even when it's not convenient, even when you don't feel like it, even when the tides are going some other way. People are asking me right now because of how much is going on in this country and in the world, like, Jackie, what is ours to do? I'm like, what's yours to do is to be who you came here to be and to be
Yes.
loud and in the world and wherever that takes you, if that's to a
Hmm.
large rally or if that's to sitting at home dialing congressional phone numbers, I don't know. But yes, there are things to do. We are here in the physical form. So I'm not of the mind that it's just think good thoughts. Yes, think
Uh-huh.
good thoughts. Yes, have a high vibration. And follow the guidance of then what is yours to do. I love
Right.
what Cory Booker did. Was it last week or the week before?
Oh,
He stood for 25 minutes orating. I'm sorry, 25 hours and four
hours.
25 hours and 4 minutes orating, not reading from a children's book or reading from the encyclopedia or reading from the newspaper. He orated for 25 hours and 4 minutes. And a lot of his message was do something. But inside of the do something, there was such a profound commitment to being who he came here to be and what he's committed to. I was very, very moved by that.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of being moved by things, I was also incredibly moved by what you did in going to Mount Everest. So, you mind talking to us about like the backstory and why you did
Yeah.
that and how it came to be? And then, of course, I'd love to hear how it changed you.
Absolutely. So, a few years back, I was speaking with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, and I said, I'm going to go do the trek to Basecamp on Mount Everest. And he was very polite, he was very kind, and he said, well, you may not actually be going to Mount Everest, but what that says is that there's something spiritual. There's something like you are here to climb spiritual mountains. And that comment brought out the inner toddler in me. And I was
Right.
like, no, I'm going.
Watch
Right.
me.
So I spent 14 months and I trained and trained and trained. I got to elevation several times. I was really doing the work. And then I went there and it was harder than anything I could have fathomed. It was unimaginably challenging. And I think what made it so challenging was the length of the days. I was under the impression I would be hiking for about 5, maybe 7 hours a couple of the days, but it was like 10 hours. And part of that is because I was going slow.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, like 10 hours of hiking, like
Oh,
vertical at altitude. It was so intense. And so on the second night, it's, like a 10-day thing. And on the second night, I had my midnight hour moment. I just like called out to God and I thought this is going to be so humiliating because Reverend Michael had all of Agape pray for me. And like, now I'm going to have to slink back and say, like, I sucked and I have to go home.
Yeah.
Um, and, but there's something, I've reached a point of spiritual maturity that I believe now, I understand now that my life is for me. And I want to invite everybody listening.
Yeah.
It's a choice. I didn't know that. I used to kind of sit back and like wait for life to prove itself to me. And I realized spiritual maturity says, I'm going to decide and trust that my life is for me. So it was 2 o'clock in the morning, actually. And I said, all right, this is not working. Like, I clearly do not have what it takes to climb this mountain, but I know my life is for me and my life is not here to humiliate me.
Yeah.
So what's the fix? And I kept waiting for the guidance to come. I want something like I'm on Mount Everest. I feel like I deserve some bells and whistles. Like I think there should be like, a magic carpet that materializes in front of me with chocolate bars and I can recline on the carpet and it'll loft me up the mountainside. Like that's what I'm waiting for. And all the while I had this like impulse over here and it was ridiculous. So I didn't want to pay attention to it. I want the things to appear, glitter and sparkles, but this impulse said that I was to get up every 2 hours throughout every night and do my full spiritual practice. That's insane. It's cold.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm doing a big physical thing. I need sleep, but I wasn't sleeping anyway. And so um, every night, for every single night of that trek, I got up every 2 hours, prayer, meditation, life visioning process, qigong, neuro emotional technique. Those are all the things that are in my class that I'm teaching because it's just that's what worked. And so I let spirit. I speak a lot about frequency. I had to go above the frequency of the condition that was not possible. Me climbing that mountain was not possible. So I had to go to the frequency where it was possible. I can
Wow.
do all things in spirit.
Yeah.
And so every morning, some way, somehow, I got back out on the mountain and handled my business. It was extraordinary.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
extraordinary because initially my takeaway from it all was it was just a big physical feat. There was nothing spiritual about it. And moving
Yep.
forward in my life, I only want to do things that have mysticism. And then I was speaking with the Kings, with Andrea Waters King. That's Martin's wife. She's a powerhouse. And she's the one that said that's like the most spiritual thing.
Yeah.
You, in the middle of the night, you called out to God and said, I can't do it. I need help. You got the guidance and you did it. And
Right.
you got to base camp on Mount Everest. So it's really it's a exciting thing to me that we have like a radio station. We can tune ourselves to different stations. And I needed to level up on that mountain for sure.
Wow. That's so amazing. So I love what you just said. You have to tune in. Where are you going to, what are you tuning into? What frequency are
Yes.
you going? You could have easily tuned into the frequency of defeat and it's too hard and I can't do it. You could have, and justifiably so. There would have been no humiliation. People would have totally gotten it. It's a huge thing to do. And yet you tuned in to something different. And that
Yeah.
too is a commitment. That too
Hmm.
is a choice. And yeah, I love what you said at the beginning of this little section where you said, I've developed enough spiritual maturity to know. And you said that life is for you. But that phrase, I really want to highlight that for our listeners because you have, Julie, developed spiritual maturity. And I think that's part of what people don't quite understand about living life consciously.
Mm.
It does require an enormous amount of spiritual and psychological maturity to live life this way.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop there
And
and hand it back over to you. I have more to say.
yeah,
I'm going to stop there.
yes, absolutely. And the fact that it's a choice and that when we make the choice, our frequency rises to the frequency of that choice, and then we draw situations to us that match that. So it's very interesting. I like using my body as like a testing grounds to see if I raise my frequency because all the different qualities, everything from anger has a low dense vibration, love has one of the highest vibrations, and we attract wherever we're at.
Yeah.
So and I experience it both ways all the time. And so becoming like a master of ourselves and our energy is exciting and quite hopeful.
Yeah. So beautiful. I love that. How did you end up, like, did you go with a group or how did you, like, who'd you go with?
My husband and I went, and then we
Wow.
hired a Sherpa and a guide.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
just the two of you with a Sherpa and a guide.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And how was
And it
this?
was extraordinary. I mean, to be up that high and just be there near the Khumbu ice falls that I've seen in movies for years and years, and Namche Bazaar, which is the last stop for mountaineers to gear up before they make their bid for the summit. And to be there in this place that has compelled me for so many years was beyond thrilling.
Beyond. So were you above the clouds?
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
gosh.
then I remember the day that um, I think we were in Rinpoche Monastery the day that we broke through and went above the clouds. So we were in the clouds there. It was extraordinary. And what life am I living on? In what, how me, Julie, on Mount Everest? How does that happen? And
Yeah, you're living the life that you designed.
yes, right,
You're living the life that you designed. It didn't and wasn't going to happen by chance.
right. It
You know,
happens from resonance and aligning
yeah,
with the soul call, the soul yearning.
100%. Your life is a complete outpicturing of the consciousness of who you are and that you've
Hmm.
cultivated. And that didn't happen by accident. It's a beautiful testimony to you and to the principles that you and I both teach and espouse. So
Right.
last thing to touch on, you've got a
Sure.
course that's starting this week. I'm so excited about it. I went to kind of your intro to it. That was so well done, the class last week.
Oh, yes.
I was on there with 500 or 600 of your closer friends. Um, Super impressive to see the how many people were there and the lineup of speakers that you had. It was really, really wonderful. And the course is very compelling. So tell people a little bit about your course that's coming up.
It's called the frequency factor. Ignite your purpose by vibrating at the level of your dreams. Tonight is the first class. You can still sign up through, I believe, April 15th, and you'll
Okay.
get a replay of the first class. And it's tools and practices to support us in clarifying what is it that I want and what's the quality back of it, and then to rig our environment and the spiritual tools and practices to elevate our energetic frequency so you become a magnet for your good. And it's everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We
Oh,
got a
you
little.
can go to agapelive.com,
Okay.
agapelive.com,
Okay, great. So one word, like one word,
Agape Live. Yes.
agape.com.
Uh-huh.
Okay, great, to register for it. That is so, so great. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. There's so much more I can always talk to you about, but I really do appreciate your time and your energy. Your teaching, Julie, I mean, it so resonates with me, of course, but I just really want to affirm for you that you are making a profound difference in the world through your presence and your consciousness, your work with the ministry at Agape, your family life, just who you are and how you have cultivated your extraordinary life as an outpicturing of what we teach, the consciousness, the frequency, the resonance of creating life from the inside out. It's a beautiful testimony to who you are. So thank you so much for being here on the Conscious
Yes.
Living Podcast. Anything you want
Thank
to say
you.
before we wrap up?
You can follow me on social at Rev Julie Moret. I'd love to welcome you in.
Heck,
Thank you so
yeah.
much, Jackie. This is beautiful.
Great to be here with you.